Hi Libra, and welcome to the pandemic edition. What can I tell you? Fun, huh? So let's start without further ado, see what's going on. I really have to tell you, it's very difficult doing the reading. On one extent is a little bit less because I'm feeling less pressure in terms of emotional issues to one-to-one relationships. But on the other hand, I feel a bigger pressure where people feel either panic or resignation, both of them feeling really intense, to be really honest. So let's see what I see here for you, what is really coming up in the upcoming month. And Libra, I am trying to set up for a week almost streaming servers where we can get together and simply talk about pandemic, no more, no less. If you're not a subscriber, then click on subscribe so you can get notification when this is set up, if you think that's going to be benefiting you. Not so much tarot reading, rather just let's be community and simply talk about it. Why I'm not surprised. The floating cat, like almost like freaking every sign is getting this. The floating cat is reversed. You kind of know the times have changed. You know, like this is really weird. Maybe for a while it was really hard for you to even assess that things are happening. And this kind of tells me there's like still a little level of cluelessness. There's like still kind of like, no, this is just a nightmare. And I do know this is really happening, but this is going to stop. On the other hand, like, you know it, that logical mind, so that's that Libra kind of like trying to make sense out of everything that is really going on. Look at this, the moon. This is it. It's very difficult territory for you being in this darkness, right? It's kind of weird because I just had before my eyes flashed this woman, representative of justice, blindfolded, and I was thinking to myself, well, you kind of like know how to act in these blind situations. So maybe this is simply telling me that this maybe is now a situation where you need to pull in. You need to go into that intuition of yours and figure it out how to use it, right? Seven of Earths. Both of them are telling me about some kind of like anticipation, maybe waiting. Maybe you don't really know what is really happening. But mind you, cats do see in the dark. So this is a little bit different, modifying the card, right? And also the moonlight can actually make the place very, very bright. We have this like in light pollution in the cities, so we really don't see in the dark, but cats do. And this is also similar that I see mushrooms in both of basically the situations, which is telling me about survival even in the darkest of the places and actually thriving in it, right? So this is really telling me there is like some issue over here about anticipation. There is like some kind of like feeling, mind you, like you also had the reversed hangman over here. Something is happening, something is sure to happen, but this is the moment before things happen. It's literally like that suspension in the air. You do feel that you're landing on your feet, you do feel everything is happening, you feel that you're going to go in all of that, out of that unscratched, which is really positive attitude and all of that. And then you have like this Fire King. There's like maybe a person that you have in your life, somebody who is really important, somebody who's your base, somebody who kind of like is there to like grab you if you fall. That is really, really important. But be kind of like forewarned, because we have the moon and we have the water and we have the fire over here, which can create steam of some kind of like one way or the other, right? And here we have like reversed Four of Earth. So maybe you were one of those unlucky ones who have maybe lost your jobs. Maybe, you know, it's just like you didn't feel it would happen to you. You just like felt, you know, that your contribution, it really is making you question lots of things happening, right? Because these two Earth cards that I have, 7 and 4, make 11, which is basically your card, justice. It kind of boils to that you feel on one level there is injustice. On one level, what the hell and how do I go through this, right? Instead of being protective, you're almost like going everywhere, trying to figure out all directions. Your mind is almost like darting in all kind of directions. That's kind of like what I'm feeling. Like your thoughts are like, 5,000 miles an hour. But then you ground yourself. So it's either that or completely peaceful. Maybe you guys are tapping into like your ability to meditate, ability to calm down. Maybe you're doing yoga. Maybe you're having somebody who is really kind of like that lighthouse for you in your life. Whew, that's a heavy card, and I have been getting this card as well. We're going to see lots of deaths around us, but it didn't fall into your personal house, so yay. But even seeing that, it's telling me that you are really affected by the situation. This also tells me that there is like some redefinition of things that are going to be happening in your life. Death card always talks about certain things that are no longer able to continue, so we need to think of them differently. So sometimes it's a positive thing. Sometimes like ending is a great thing. Like, I mean, you cannot be pregnant forever. So when you end it, you get a baby, right? Sometimes ending is a bad thing. Sometimes things need to end in order for us to kind of like be able to comprehend, right, situation better. Because we would not be able to understand life if we don't have great parts of it and bad parts of it, because that's basically existing solely because of that. And there is this new beginning for you. So it almost looks to me that maybe you're realizing that, well, this is maybe an opportunity for a new start, right? This is something where you need to stabilize yourself, where you really want to take a leap. There's like something else that you really want to do. Libra is my ascendant. I'm looking at this and I'm trying to interpret this. How would this really work for me? And I do know that now with this suspension that we have, it's imposed on us. I mean, I'm developing one more business. It's not going to spread its wings and fly anytime until months this whole thing blows over, which I hope, just like cards show, that this is going to eventually go away. So the hope is there. I'm not devastated this is going to take everybody down, or me, which is good that I'm positive about that. But I'm also realizing that it's going to be hard on the other way out, on the other end. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be the same. And this is kind of like that optimistic, visionary, maybe even reckless thing in the situation. And then we have strength here, which is lovely. Look, you have lots of majors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Strength in your personal house. It really shows that you are really holding on. You're having things together. Maybe realization of how fickle is a life, because you are air sign after all. Even though you're like this generous and seductor and everything, you are still a sign that kind of like really looks at things in an analytical way. You're trying to make sense out of it. That's why you kind of like are trying to maintain this balance all the time. So you're always looking left and right in order to kind of like see how you would satisfy these needs. But this really says, look at it, the kitty is having all these birds on it. So it takes strength of the will not to lash out. And so you're really I would say taking care of your mental health in the situation. This also can talk about the commitment, that you are making sure you're not lashing out at the close ones to you. And also kind of like if they do that to you, maybe you are like removing them. Maybe this simply means that you'll be cleaning a whole bunch of people out of your life as well. So let's see your environment. Yeah, there is like love, 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 love in the air. In spite of everything, you guys are lovey-dovey. And this is somebody, especially if you're a woman, this is the real person. This is a real dude. He's not a knight. He's not the dude who's going to just bring you flowers and woo you. No, this is the guy who means it. This is the guy who wants to go there for a long, long, long run. And the hopes and fears is 3 of Sky. So there is like a situation that you also have, even though on the surface everything works. You're protective, you know what you're doing. There's like still something over here that can portray a possible third party, or it could be some level of unhappiness. We are going to clarify this. So these 2 cards can be connecting. So something has to end for something to go forward. Maybe somebody is in love with you, but he or she is not free. Maybe you are in love with somebody who has some obligations. That doesn't necessarily have to be another person. Well, it could be another person at work, so work technically, right? So it could be some of those things. I didn't see Two of Pentacles, which kind of would rather take me in the work situation. But it's a Ten of C. So there is like something that is missing, Ten of Cups. There is like almost like everything seemingly is there except something that you want. It's almost like you're dating somebody and you love each other and you cherish each other. But then he has to go home or she has to go home. And you have everything other than, let's say, a title. So you meet the family and friends, but somehow title is not given. And this really starts to bother you. And that's because you're like analytical air sign, right? It was an earth sign, like they're like able to just relax and kind of like go in the situation. And this is why this is making you a little bit fish out of water over here in the situation, right? These are these two trees that are really connecting. And these are also the Emperor and the Empress here as well, sort of like a little bit different vibrations of what is basically going on. So if you're female, you will feel a little bit more out of element than, let's say, if you were a man. So that is kind of going to be very, very important. So let me just clarify basically the Death card over there. I want to see what is this all about. So we have Hope, it's reversed. We have Merchant and we have Sorrow. Death of hope, death of some company, maybe you have a company, but it's also death of not being able to handle a situation, because this one to me is a positive card. Because look here, she's just kind of devastated. It's really interesting because he's right next to the sea, he's looking the ships, right? So he is either waiting for his profits to come back and then the new things to kind of like revolve. So that's technically 18th century's version of import-export, if you really wish. Maybe you know, maybe he's going to jump on the boat himself, and that's why she is devastated. Maybe there is like this physical distancing that is really getting to you, because here it kind of like feels that situation is hopeless, that somebody is just not, somebody's having some different commitments that are more important than you are. I guess it feels this way. But that, and just like the Death card, it initially is the impact, but then on the way out it feels okay, because now we see the Sorrow over here, which is reversed, which really talks about, hey, you know, things are actually going to work out. Things are going to kind of like progress in a direction where you're going to feel better about it. Whew. And there's this isolation card, and maybe that's what it is, that somehow and maybe that's what's going to happen. I don't know, like, I mean, I'm picking up on the fact that they're literally going to lock us in. They are going to declare martial law in order to have this like really quick solution to this pandemic. And really, if we can for 2 weeks be indoors and just stick around the perimeters of our basically fence, possibly is better than this lasting for 6-9 months, as they are saying right now. It's not going to be done in North America before the end of July. And then, as you, if you, I don't know if you heard, please listen to my astrology interpretation until May. Then I think it's getting better mid-May. But I also feel that we have the second onset, and I actually did say right after I did this astrology thing, my interpretation, I saw it in September and I saw it in December. I saw 2 different onsets of this as well. And this is exactly what they're trying to do. They are not trying, they know that we are going to get it eventually, but they want to make sure they'll be there to help us, and that we do have ventilators and everything for us, because right now we get sick. You are on your own. Look at Chris Cuomo, the anchor of our CNN, who got it. You can tell he has fever. He's very strong, physically strong, keeping fit. But there was another guy that I read, basketball coach. He went to bed, and in the morning his wife found him dead. Right? It was the coronavirus. He went to the hospital 2 days before. They turned him around. He's healthy. I mean, he's in good shape, male. He didn't have severe symptoms, and apparently it got younger people too. So then you're getting this isolation card, which is basically telling staying home. But staying home is making you feel very disconnected. Staying home is feeling you think thoughts that you shouldn't be thinking, right? Making you kind of like, as I said, dart in all directions. I'm feeling this, right? You need to figure out, you can figure it out. There is a difference between solitude and isolation. So there you go. So one is feeling lonely. One is feeling almost like an empty bucket. Another one is, this is a great time. I mean, if you have the internet, oh my God, just, you know, if we lose the internet, we are going to freaking lose it. I'll lose it. But if you have the internet, YouTube is a great place to go on some kind of discovery channel, bring this like outdoors, indoors, kind of like play this brooks, kind of like doing birds chirping. That really helps. It does feel like you're outside in a meadow. So guys, be very creative. This is really the time, because this is also about self-protection. We see the sword. This is also about over preparing, but also about not being ready to basically take an action. So there is like something that is going really well in your life, but you are still unsatisfied. So this is a time for you, instead of brewing it inside and making it into some kombucha and bubbling, instead, why don't you flatten that curve in your own emotional life and just say, no, this is the time where I really need to cherish what I have. And if people are not supportive or hopeful, or there are issues, you need to protect yourself. But be careful not to be too protective, because that can actually explode in your face. But hey, good for you. You have somebody who cherishes you, or somebody who cherishes you will appear. And in this isolation, it could be just two of you against the world, and that's not a bad thing, Libra. So if you guys want a reading from me, cattarot.ca, and also you can write to me at mysticcatarot@gmail.com. And in the meantime, I hope to hear from you, and I wish you all the best. As I said, subscribe if you want to be called or to participate in that free kind of like, hey, let's adopt a friend, be a friend, chit chat, because that's pretty much all we can do inside. Maybe you're going to feel less isolated. You know that I love you, and all the best to us, Libras.